Today on the channel, in honor of 23,000 subscribers, we're counting down to the top 10 WWE Mattel Elite Ringside Collectible exclusives of all time.
The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Welcome everyone, Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another top 10 countdown video, a Thursday tradition here on the channel. And as of recently, if you've been following along on the channel, and if not, what are you waiting for? Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel. We have been in best of the best mode as we've been counting down all the best figures of 2022. So we've been kind of busy doing that. Now the new year is here, we're back to our normal schedule, and we actually got two top 10 videos to get after, as today's video is going to be the 23,000 subscriber special. 24,000 I got to figure out, and we're getting dangerously close to 25,000 subscribers. So we got some more top 10 videos to come, but today I figured it'd be a fun one to do here, as originally I was going to do all Ringside Collectible exclusives. Now I figure I better break them up. And today we're going to count down my top 10 favorite Ringside Collectible exclusives of all time, but they have to be Mattel. So of course Mattel Elites, we've had so many exclusives over the last 12 years, I guess, but going back before that, of course, Jakks exclusives. So maybe we'll do a separate video on those one of these days. You guys can let me know in the comments down below. But I know a lot of you guys, myself included, have been dealing with Ringside since the 90s. I believe it was right in the 90s, the late 90s was my first order, right for when Ruthless Aggression started. That's when I jumped in with Ringside Collectibles. I have been ordering from them ever since. Of course, discount code Kyle saves yourself 10%. I have that discount code back in those days to save 10%. I can't remember when the 10% codes even officially started. I'm trying to remember back to that, but that'd be an interesting history fact to find out the answer to. But I've been dealing with Ringside for a heck of a long time, buying my action figures. Basically, almost every single Elite I have in my collection, outside of like the store exclusive stuff, has came from Ringside Collectibles, if you can believe that. So we've had a ton of stuff, and looking back, scrolling, trying to get this list together, looking at all the different exclusives over the years, it's amazing how many different ones they've had, how many unique ones, and how many really, really cool ones they've had over the years. But we're going to do this like we do all the other countdowns on the channel. We're going to start at number 10, work our way to number 1. Want you guys included in this. Make sure you get your list together, put it in the comments down below. Make sure you put them in order. That is the fun part. And remember, this is my list. It can't be wrong. Make sure you get your list in the comments down below. So without further ado, let's kick it off. Let's kick it off at number 10. Okay, let's kick it off at number 10. And number 10, we go all the way back to the year of 2012. Oh, what a time to be alive, 2012. In the infancy of the Mattel Elite line, only 2 years in. A lot of ebbs, a lot of flows, a lot of learnings at that time. And who's the fool in? There's still learnings to this day. But the number 10 Ringside Collectible exclusive of all time, Mattel Edition, for me, is the Macho Man Randy Savage NWO edition. Of course, Macho Man, one of the most iconic wrestlers of all time. Everybody knows the Macho Man, and even more probably can do an impression of him. But Macho Man NWO gear, very, very solid. Not as iconic to me as his WWF time, but for a whole generation and still a lot of fans, the NWO gear always holds strong. It's always a special place in their heart. And this one would have been higher on the list, but it lost just a little bit of luster, I'd say, in 2022, as we did get the Target exclusive Ultimate Edition NWO Macho Man. Some issues with that one for sure, as we did show in the review on that. But a lot of people have that. Some people sold this one. To me, they're different enough. One's an Elite, one's Ultimate. We get a little different gear, different faces. We get different articulation. It's enough to be different for me. But some people said, hey, I'm getting rid of this one. Some said, I'm giving up the hunt for this one. I've moved on to the Ultimate Edition. And to each their own, as we always do say. But very, very cool. And you got to look at this with 2012 eyes. A lot of people probably bag on this, just like Jakks gets bagged on. But at the time, soft goods were around, but not always used. And I guess they still aren't always used. There's some things they could do to improve this one. But for what we got at this time, after wanting Macho Man for so many years in the Jakks days, to get him in this gear finally was quite the big deal. So big, in fact, it came in at number 10 in my top 10 countdown. For the number 9 selection, we visit back to 2019. Oh, we never even heard of COVID at that time frame. A lot has changed in the collector's landscape since 2019. But one thing that hasn't changed is a Hardy Boys 2-pack will always be in style, especially Brood Hardys 2-pack, the Ringside Collectible exclusive, and a really cool nod to the past for longtime collectors like myself, as we did get a Ringside Collectibles exclusive Jakks Deluxe Classic Superstar back in the day in the same gear, same everything. So really cool to bring this one back many years later as another Ringside Collectible exclusive. But as usual with the Ringside exclusives, absolutely fabulous packaging. Very, very cool, like entrance stage packaging. You get the title belts, the most iconic tag team title belts in history, if you ask me. You get soft goods. You get Matt Hardy with the hair down in his face. Just primo Hardys, and gun to my head, probably my favorite rendition of the Hardy Boys that we ever did receive. Just beautiful, beautiful 2-pack here. One that even went to deep clearance, which just really shocked me a lot, but a very, very solid set. Like I said, nod to the past, which made it special. A lot of Hardy Boys fans out there, I know, so this one is pretty cool. So cool, in fact, landed at number 9 in the top 10 countdown. All right, we're at the number 8 spot. At number 8, we go back to the year of 2018, and we go to another one that has had a lot of figures over the years from the Elite line, Ultimate line, you name it. Who are we talking about? We're talking about Bret Hitman Hart, a guy that has had so many great figures over the year, but it's crazy that he struggled so much in the last couple of years with Mattel. So hopefully we get back on track. I didn't hate the last Elites like some people did, but this one to me from 2018 was the Ringside Collectible exclusive King of the Ring Hitman, Bret Hitman Hart. And one of these days we'll do a top 5 or top 10 favorite King figures on the channel, as there's been so many Kings between numerous lines. Heck, we could do a Mattel one by itself if we wanted to. But Bret Hitman Hart, one of those guys you don't think of as a King very often. Of course, King of the Ring winner. Sometimes they go on to really wear that garb for a full-on year. Sometimes it's just for the night. Bret was more for the night, for the weekend, let's call it. But it is iconic, and when you're dealing with a character like a Bret Hart, a Hulk Hogan, an Ultimate Warrior, you want every depiction of gear possible. And this is a deep cut Bret. I think it worked very well for a Ringside Collectible exclusive. Not that it wouldn't have sold on its own out in the Targets, Walmarts of the world, Toys R Us, but I think it worked really good as a Ringside Collectible exclusive. And it worked so much, in fact, it came in at number 8 in my top 10 countdown. All right, we're at the number 7 spot. In number 7, we go back to 2020, a fairly recent exclusive, and one I think that is finally off the Ringside site, as this did hang around like a lot of Ringside exclusives do. They shouldn't sell out right away. They need to last a little while, and that's what they usually do. Usually there's a couple of waves of them, and that's what we got with this one. This one isn't so much about the packaging and the figure as much as the idea, let's call it. But coming in at number 7, we're going to the Edge Heads 3-pack. Of course, it's the Edge exclusive. It's labeled as Edge, but as we do know, we got a Curt Hawkins and a Zack Ryder head with this. You buy 3 of these, you put a head on each one, man, you got yourself the Edge Heads. And I think this is a fabulous idea for a Ringside Collectible exclusive, a fabulous idea by Mattel. I know Matt Cardona says he takes credit for it. Hey, if it's his, if he brought that to fruition, congratulate to him as well. Just a very, very smart idea, and one I would like to see used a lot more in the Elite line. Yeah, it sucks having to buy 3 figures, but it gives you the option, and it gives you an option for figures that maybe would not be made. Would they make a Brian Myers and a Zack Ryder, or I should say Curt Hawkins and Zack Ryder on their own? Probably not an Elite line of these two, but to make it this way, it's a way to get those figures that we wouldn't before. And most recently, what was it, Elite Series 99, we got Happy Corbin and Baron Corbin. We got 2 versions there, down on the luck Corbin. Very similar to that. So they still do it to some degree, but I think there's a lot more characters they could do some of that. Give us heads. Marvel Legends, for example, does that a lot in their toy line. They'll give a weapon or a head with somebody else that kind of makes sense that you can use with other figures. I would love to see that going forward. I absolutely love the idea of this one. Of course, you can pull out the back liner like a lot of these modern exclusives, fold out, have a nice little background diorama, which is always cool. The packaging was nice. Just an all-around great figure, but the specialness of this one was being a 3-in-1. I thought that was a fabulous idea. So fabulous, in fact, coming in at number 7 on my top 10 countdown. The number 6 selection comes to us from the year of 2022. Seems like just like a week ago. Yeah, maybe so. But this one was on my best Elites of 2022 countdown, and I still really do like this one. I like it so much, in fact, I have a loose version and a mint in box one. Who are we talking about? We're talking about NWO Red version Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Of course, the Hulkster, very iconic. Goes back to the Macho Man we talked about at number 10. Always cool to get different gears. Not quite as iconic as his red and yellow, but a very cool, different Hulk Hogan. You get the NWO spray painted title belt, which we'd only got one time before, so it was really cool to get that here in figure form once again. A beautiful collector's box, beautiful bandana, glasses. Something about it just pops. The only negative I have with this one is, of course, the hot dog tan. It is sorely missing from this one, but it is still an amazing, amazing piece. Very happy to have it in my collection. So happy, in fact, comes in at number 6 in my top 10 countdown. All right, we're at the number 5 spot in our top 10 Mattel Elite Ringside Collectible Exclusives countdown of all time here. And number 5 is an interesting one. But before we get to that, make sure you subscribe to this very YouTube channel. As you guys know, every Thursday, we're doing a different countdown video on top of all the other videos here on the channel. Would love to have you on board. So make sure you subscribe and hit the old thumbs up, hit the old like. But number 5 is one of my all-time favorites from one of my all-time favorite promotions of all time. And this one goes back to 2021. It feels like 2022. Maybe it was a end of the year 2021 thing. I can't remember, but it was definitely in 2021. And what are we talking about here? We're talking about the Ringside Collectible Exclusives ECW version of Cactus Jack. Yes, Cactus Jack, longtime favorite of young Kyle. Who are we fooling? Old Kyle as well. I loved Cactus Jack as a little kid, running home, sprinting home from school to watch the GWF on ESPN. Followed him over to WCW, of course, to ECW, then over to the WWE, WWF, and can't forget about Japan, trading tapes of him and Terry Funk's battles from over there. So Cactus Jack, a longtime favorite of mine, and then ECW, gun to my head, one of my favorite promotions of all time as well. A very, very cool one with the ECW title included in here, the tag title, of course, very cool. The ECW shirt, the bang bang hands, the beautiful Cactus Jack face that only a mother could love, or a Kyle could love too. Just like everything about this, all the way down to the packaging. Would love to see this as like an ECW package with other ECW characters in the future. I don't know if that'll happen or not, but boy, I'd be here for it. Like this one so much, it came in at number 5 in my top 10 countdown. We're getting closer to the end. We're at the number 4 spot, and the number 4 spot reminds me a little bit of that Macho Man at number 10, as I didn't think we would really get any more figures from this guy ever again, but then him jumping over to AEW and coming back with a vengeance with many different exclusives, including Ringside Collectible exclusives. This one, a little bloom came off the rose, but quite possibly is still my favorite CM Punk figure of all time, and we've had quite a few CM Punk exclusives via Ringside, but the one I'm going to is we go back to 2010, the year that the Mattel Elite brand started. We're going to the Straight Edge Society CM Punk. You guys know I'm a sucker for anybody in face paint or a mask, and don't forget the hairy bipedal creatures either. But of course, he does have the sling, the towel around his head, just an absolute fabulous version of CM Punk. Always loved this one. Would love to see this ran back. I don't think there's any way we'll ever see this one again. I don't know if we'll quite possibly ever see a WWE CM Punk figure ever again, but you never know. Stranger things have happened. But an absolute fabulous one, all the way back to the infancy of the Ringside exclusive Mattel partnership, we'll call it, all the way back to 2010, but just an absolutely iconic figure and a jewel of a lot of people's collections, and probably a top 5 most expensive Elite of all time at this point as well, for those keeping track at home, and always right behind my shoulder as well in these videos, as you guys know. But coming in at number 4, Straight Edge Society, CM Punk. Number 3, we go all the way back to 2012, as we talked about earlier, a fabulous year, and apparently a fabulous year for Ringside Collectible exclusive figures. And number 3 is, some may say, Pretty in Pink. And who are we talking about? No, we're not talking about Surfer Sting. We're talking about Bret the Hitman Hart in the pink and black attack attire. Talk about a figure. We talk about it all the time on the channel, that there's some of those figures in your collection. You're walking by here and bam, your eyes get caught up on something. And this pink Bret Hart is one of those figures that people just, holy cow, this thing is awesome. I love this. A lot of people love this incarnation of Bret Hart. And like I said, it's over 10 years old at this point. seems absolutely crazy. But just a very, very cool, iconic version of Brent. One I'm actually surprised didn't get a modern release to Walmart's, Targets, everywhere else, as it is that iconic. We do know we're going to get this walk back a little bit this year, 2023, as an Ultimate Edition, which makes a lot of sense. I'd rather see this upgraded to an Ultimate than re-released in the Greatest Hits line, for example. But a very, very cool one. The packaging, making it feel even pinker than it really is just really, really cool throughout. So can't go wrong with this Bret Hart, and that's why he's coming in at number 3. We're at the number 2 spot in our top 10 Mattel Ringside Collectible exclusives of all time. And number 2, it goes all the way back to 2011. One of the greatest years of my life, really, when I look back at 2011. Big promotion, first-time father, a lot going on in 2011. And this was also going on in 2011. And maybe that's part of his specialness, why he's at number 2. But we're going to the horror-infused Kane. We're going to the exclusive Kane Unmasked. And this is a very memorable exclusive. One that I could see being walked back down the line. Of course, we get Kane. He's like a young Hannibal Lecter, like a young Frankenstein, as he's got the chains wrapped around him, the ankles just chained up. You got the towel over his head, and then you got the mask that is removable. Just a classic, classic version of Kane. And once again, probably my favorite version of Kane, if I had to sit and really think of it. And one of these days, we'll do a top 10 Kane figures on the channel, as we've had quite the few different Kanes over the years. But this one very possibly could be my favorite Kane of all time. I'm probably thinking that's probably the way it would go in that list if we did it. But just really, really cool. And another one that's quite expensive now. Could see this being walked back, like I said, down the road. Get the new articulation to it, a few updates, things like that. But very, very cool to get a monster version of Kane, and a very cool exclusive, and a big win for Ringside Collectibles getting this one as an exclusive. So coming in at number 2, we've got the Unmasked Kane, and that leaves only one. Who is number 1? Stay tuned and find out. We have arrived. We've arrived at the number 1 Ringside Collectible exclusive of all time in the Mattel Elite category. What is it going to be? Well, make sure you get your list together and put it in the comments down below. And then while you're here, make sure you like the video, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and don't forget about the Patreon, where you can support this very YouTube channel, but you also get videos like this much earlier than traditional YouTube. You get bonus content, you get exclusive content, you get giveaways, you get Q&As. There's a lot of stuff going over at the Patreon, and best of all, you do support the channel. But for the number 1 spot, we go back to 2022. 2022 seems like, once again, just yesterday, and maybe there's some recency bias in this, but I don't think there is, as this is a pack that has been years in the making that never got made, and I am absolutely shocked that we never got this in the past. Well, I'm happy we finally got it now, and you guys probably know what I'm talking about. We're talking about the Mega Powers exclusive 2-pack, Macho Man Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, of course. Everybody remembers the Mega Powers. I remember growing up watching the whole Mega Powers explode and all that as a little kid, enjoying it. But I gotta say, you know, it still wasn't Ultimate Warrior levels of excitement for me. But I did watch it from afar. I was interested. I loved the idea of it. And I do love that WrestleMania 5 main event. That's one of my favorite WrestleMania main events ever. I always did enjoy that one. But it's quite the pack, quite the time to get that after all these years. Of course, you get the Miss Elizabeth from about a year ago to match with it. You get them in the matching gear. The handshake, man, that is totally next level. The soft goods, just an absolute fabulous pack. One of the greatest 2-packs of all time, any genre of wrestling figures ever. Very, very iconic. And like I said, I'm just totally shocked we never got this from Jakks back in the day. Obviously, they couldn't get to Macho Man, so it couldn't be done. So it was really up to Mattel, and it took Mattel this long to do it. Is a little bit surprising, but I think it works great as a Ringside Collectibles 2-pack. Ringside had to be very happy to land that one for them. Just very cool, and going to be one of those ones that is almost priceless, that I can see going up in value as the years pass, because a lot of people want to represent that 2-pack for sure. So number 1, greatest Ringside Collectible Elite exclusive of all time is the Mega Powers 2-pack, as voted by me. Once again, make sure you put your list in the comments down below. Of course, don't forget about my old social media. Hit me up at SirPaul64 over there on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson. So for the top 10 Ringside Collectible exclusives of all time, I am Kyle. I'll see you guys all real soon.